Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 3, Episode 3 of Apple TV's Foundation, entitled When a Book Finds You. So, I said last week that even though I feel like this season is off to a better start than either of the first two, that I really expected things to pick up this week. And, man, I was right, as usual. As usual. I really enjoyed this episode, man. Like, this one had big reveals, it had great plot advancement, it even addressed a criticism that I put in my notes like halfway through the episode. It addressed that criticism like 15 minutes later. It was crazy. and once again, a great ending to this episode too. So let's just dive right in and get into it. So we kick things off with a flashback. We drop back 3 years into the past and learn that Dawn, he's at the Imperial Library trying to track down a very specific book on psychohistory. He notices something's off. He's like, this book, it should have been with Gale, but Gale never made it to Terminus, so how did it end up here at this library? And the librarian gives him kind of like what feels like the setup to a spy mission. She says that the story behind the book, it isn't hers to tell, but that the person who could tell that story said that if anybody ever came asking about that book, to send that person their way. So she gives Dawn this location and signs to look for. There's gonna be this there, there's gonna be that there, and holy shit, he ends up meeting with Gale. Or rather, as we come to find out, it's her hologram. She's not physically there. But anyway, interesting conversation, right? So she's giving off an interesting vibe to me. I don't like that I said interesting twice in one sentence, but it is an interesting vibe because she seemed almost smug in this conversation, in this scene. Like the second he showed up, the fact that he appeared, she's now fully in on the fact that he's going to be on her side. And that almost seems reckless to me, to assume that, oh, he's here, that means I've won, he'll be on my side now. Like, I feel like she needs to be a little bit more careful with that. I mean, nothing came out of that scene. It's just, I don't know, her vibe was very kind of like, oh, okay, I've already got this guy around my finger now. On the other hand, I can't say I blame her for feeling like she's got Dawn wrapped around her finger, because Gale is aging like fine wine, man. Why is she way finer now than she was in season 1? Like, man, she fine as fuck. And what? She's like what, 300 years old? Like, man. Anyway, they don't say too much, but she does bring up the mule. She warns him that he's a major threat, but also says it's not time for full disclosure yet. Right now, the key takeaway is that we need to keep talking. So we cut to the present. We're picking right back up where episode 2 left off, with the conversation, the FaceTime call between Gale and Dawn that ended episode 2. And she tells Dawn that they need to act now. Specifically, he needs to get an enclosure, which I'm assuming is like an enclosure of military ships around Calgon. Kind of like as to say, you fuck with us, we're going to destroy you, kind of deal. And he's like, why do we need to have this kind of urgency? She's like, well, if we don't move on the mule, we lose. Plain and simple, right? So Dawn reels off all of the potential issues with bringing this enclosure idea forward. But Gale says it's got to be done, and she'll handle however the Foundation responds. She'll take care of that. She also warns that he can't meet with the mule in person because of the whole mind control thing. So he needs to do it, over FaceTime. So not just a few minutes into the episode. We're probably about like 15, 20 minutes in at this point. And I already got the backstory that I asked for in my video last week between Dawn and Gale. I ended that video like, man, I can't wait to find out how this connect happened. And then they open the episode answering that question. I love it. It's like the show is foreseeing what an attentive viewer will have issues with, or will need, or will ask about, and addresses those things right away. I love that. So now we jump to Calgon, where Torin Mallow, his wife Beta, and Pritchard arrive at the mule's party. And it's less of a party and more of a rave, it seems like, a galactic rave. And I'm not gonna lie, it looks like a really, really good time. And, I love to go to a party with Gale's fine ass. Anyway, so Pritchard tries to confront the mule, but the mule instantly drops him to his knees and asks him one question: who is Gale Dornick? Pritchard bounces immediately, says he doesn't belong there, tells Torin and Beta to leave as well, and he fucks off just as quickly as he arrived. I mean, that Pritchard got the fuck out of there. I can't say I blame him, though, given what happens. Torin and Beta decide they're going to keep going with the plan. She's got this idea to use Magnifico, which is like one of the mule's like right-hand men, but who also the mule just embarrassed in front of everybody in the club moments earlier. She's got the idea to use Magnifico kind of like as their in. So Torrin is gonna like go to confront the mule, but more so as a distraction, so that Beta can suck up to Magnifico on the side. So Torrin goes to sit with the mule. They start trading insults. It's like this weird kind of scene. I wasn't really that into it. Like the energy was off. I think they were going for intense. It wasn't really funny. It was kind of awkward. But Torrin goes fully in, like he's saying all kinds of really, really true shit to somebody who's really, really intimidating. So it makes it tense, but again, kind of awkward. It didn't really work for me. Like I said, I think they're going for a level of tension that just didn't really land. But then it gets really dark, really quick, and your boy's right back on board. So the mule has the Archduke's daughter bring him up. I like how I get to put quotes around weird words because of the powers that the mule has and the non-talking that the first speaker does. But anyway, he has her bring him a peeler because I say bring because she surely had no say in the matter. He didn't even say nothing. You just see her going to get it. And he literally starts peeling the skin off of Torrin's palm. All while oversharing about how he plans to destroy both Empire and the Foundation. Now, I gotta be honest, up to this point, while I did enjoy greatly cringing at the hand peeling scene, I was not feeling the mule up to this point. I've complained about how, we've got 2 episodes of just seeing what he can do, and I'm like, I don't want to see no more fucking scenes of what he can do, and this was different. But I wasn't feeling the mule as a top tier threat. Mind control is a big fucking deal, understood. But this is supposed to be a guy that future seers who can see millennia into the future say that fucking guy is the number one problem that we have. But right now, he feels more just like a violent brute with powers, not like I would expect someone of that magnitude to be more of a strategic mastermind who has some kind of wild plan boiling and all this kind of shit. And I'm like, up to this point, I'm just like, man, he just kind of just seems like a fucking thug, right? Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews, where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today. Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there, so this is the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. So anyway, pocket that. Just put that in the back of your mind. That's what I was thinking in this moment after the skin peeling scene. So Torrin and Beta managed to escape with Magnifico, who, even though, where did I forget his fucking name? The mule, even though he downplays Magnifico's significance, we learn that he's actually quite valuable to the mule. So that's a win for them to be able to escape with that guy. Meanwhile, back at Empire HQ, Day wants to leave the planet in secret with Song. That is the girlfriend that we've been seeing him with all season. He wants to leave with her in secret. He asked that guy that one of the guys he was gambling with in I think it was episode 2 to help him escape under, with Demerzel can't know, his brothers can't know. And in exchange, he promises to cure this guy's daughter who has some sort of illness that only his fucking stem cells can heal, and give him so much money that he could buy a whole planet if he wanted to. Like that's wild. But as we'll see later, it's wild, but it's a quite effective, I don't call it a bribe, but a deal. Who says no to that? Like, I'll save your daughter's life. Who says no? So after they leave, he also spills a major secret to Song that Demerzel is a robot. And she correctly points out that robots are supposed to be illegal. And Dave's just like, yeah, they are, but fuck it, she's here. And then he fucking hits his space vape and shit. I don't know. I love Dave's energy, man. He's like, yeah, fuck it. He doesn't give a shit. But next up, Dawn and Dusk get Mule on the phone. And Dawn makes it a point to assure that Dusk stands, behind him, not to the side, for appearances, right? I got to be the guy. I got to be in the front. And Dawn tries to make a deal, offering like free use of jump gates and the backing of Trantor, and the Mule can even keep Calgon. He just basically has to like report to the Empire. They need to have access to his army, and he needs to, he basically needs to fall in line. Mule's not having it, and I love his response. He's like, well, for one, you hear screaming in the background, and Dawn's like, what's that? He's like, don't worry about it. But he's like, while you were learning to snap your fucking napkins, I was out here killing people. Like, you've been living comfortably, and war's not comfortable, and then he fucking hangs up. He doesn't even give Dawn a chance to respond. And we come to find out that he was in the middle of a massacre on that call. And he's killed a bunch of, like, I guess, security personnel at a jump gate, which is ironic, given that he was just offered free use of jump gates and he just took it by force. So, now remember how I said just, I don't know, like 45 seconds ago, after the scene at Mule's rave, that at that point, I was underwhelmed by the Mule. Like I said, I had literally put that in my notes. Everything I said about being underwhelmed was in my notes. Well, after this conversation with Dawn, Gail starts narrating to me directly about the Mule, with her fat ass. Her narration literally addressed the exact things that I had written in my notes only moments earlier. She's like, on the surface, the Mule was like any other pirate. And I'm like, hey, that's what I just said. But she's like, on the surface, the Mule was like any other pirate, but underneath the violence and chaos, there was a plan taking shape in the shadows that would touch every part of the galaxy. I'm like, did they read my notes while they were still in my head? What the fuck, man? But that was great. I love that. Like, all right, Mule, I'm back on board. And as we're nearing the end of the episode, we learn that Day wants to meet Song's family as they discuss their plans, to sneak off the Trantor in secret. But she's scared now. She doesn't want to leave after she learns that Demerzel's a robot. She's like, I don't know if I feel comfortable anymore. And right on cue, Demerzel shows up. And Dave's like, I didn't even hear her coming. And I love this because in the earlier scene where Song learned that Demerzel was a robot, there was a moment where we, the audience, learned how far away Demerzel has to be from you for her to not hear you. And it was pretty fucking far. So even though that scene seemed pointless even though that scene seemed pointless, there we go, at that time, look how important it was now, because we have to now assume that she heard that conversation. Because right when they got done talking, she walked up and she was really far when she could still be within earshot. So we have to assume she heard this conversation. And I loved how subtly they added that significant amount of tension to that scene and to what was to come by just kind of like giving a different way of letting us know that Demerzel probably heard what they were saying. So Demerzel tells Day that Dawn needs to speak to him, and Dawn essentially pushes the idea of the enclosure on Calgon to both Day and Dusk. And Dusk and Day, they don't agree. They vote it down. But they also don't have the full picture like Dawn does, since he's betraying them by working with Gail's fine ass. So they shoot down his proposal for the enclosure, but share a nice little brotherly moment over alcohol or whatever the fuck gets you drunk at this year and on Trantor. But it's a small moment, but these are the kinds of scenes that show how this trio is different from their predecessors. And I love how this also gives these actors an opportunity to play the same character, but slightly different. And it's plausible because of the whole world that they've spent this time building. Like, this show has spent so much time world building that it can do some really great stuff really easily, and each season's getting better, each episode's getting better. Like, man, this is a show that, like, I mean, man, the sky's the limit right here. But like I said, friction between the brothers, but still some humanity, still some love, which again is kind of different from previous iterations of them. I also learned that the robing ceremony took place off screen, which was kind of disappointing. But anyway, Day leaves from that meeting and returns home to find Demerzel waiting because he spent all that time drinking. A scary sight, given that the idea was already in my head that she had a conversation with Song, or in my head that she had heard the conversation with Song. That's better. And she says the song secretly told her via a like 2-finger tap to the forearm that she's part of an illegal faith that worships robots. And I mean, like, what are the odds, Day? Like, I was fucking rolling at that shit. Like, that is a ridiculously bad stroke of plot contrived luck for Day. But even though Song is Team Robot, Demerzel tells her that she tells her via this conversation today that her religion is punishable by death. Rather than killing her, though, she wipes Song's memory and sends her home. Cold. And then she's like basically shit talking Day in this scene too, which is pretty fucking cool, man. I love this scene. It was incredibly ruthless, scary, tense. Just a great way to end the episode. So with that, like I said, another strong episode, the best so far of the season, in my opinion. Starting to feel like, kind of like last season, where every episode kind of like got better as the season went on. Feels like we're heading in that same direction. And what's even cooler is that we're starting from a higher point than we did with season 2. The mule was like this close to feeling underwhelming, and the show jumped in and literally said he's more than meets the eye. So like, great stuff there. Gotta love a show seeing my concerns and proactively telling me just to wait a little bit longer. I do wish the mule strategy was a bit more visible and a bit less brute force, but if the narration is to be believed, I'm going to get a lot more of the tactician piece coming later. And the ending with Demerzel, that's two back-to-back great endings right there. So can't wait to see what they got next. That's all I got. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the comments. I'm covering all of this season. I got all of season 1, all of season 2 covered on this channel. So if you like this video, you will be able to find slightly less good versions of Foundation coverage from me in the past. But let me know what you thought about the mule, Demerzel, Song Surprise Faith, Faith Reveal, how fine Gail is now. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 4. And until then, peace.